I'm gonna run to the city of refuge. I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run to the city of refuge. I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run to the city of refuge.
Welcome to Christian Perspectives, a ministry of Portage United Methodist Church. I'm Bob O'Halloran, and our facilitator, if you will, to explore those questions with us is the pastor of Portage United Methodist Church, Pastor Tom Countryman. We call him Pastor Tom. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Bob.
One of the things that churches seem to have in common is sacraments. What in the world is a sacrament? And how many do we have in the Methodist Church?
Okay, so in the Methodist Church there are two sacraments, communion and baptism. And what is a sacrament? That's a good question. And people have been arguing about that question forever. It's actually why churches can't get together. I used to have a congregation. There was a group of Catholics who wanted to do Mass every week. They in town, because they would have to drive a lot of several miles to get to a church. They found a priest who was willing to come by. Can we use your church? I'm like, sure, no problem. Our service is at 11. Our Sunday school's at 9. You guys can have an 8 o'clock Mass. No big deal. I said, but once a year, I want us to get together. And every year I would suggest that hey, how about if we do communion together? And it was like, oh, we can't do that. I said, no. It'd be like Methodists go to the left, Catholics go to the right. Oh, that would be too confusing. I'll even let the priest do all of the, we can do the regular Mass, and then I'll do the consecration for it. It wouldn't, we can't do that. We can't. I mean, that's the problem. We can't agree on stuff. So we have ecumenical stuff, but we can't do communion together. We do, however, recognize each other's baptisms, which is good, unless you're a Baptist, and then you don't recognize any baptism that's not immersion.
I'm getting a little confused here, but go ahead.
Yeah. So what is a sacrament? The sacrament, you have to start out by realizing that who we are, we're embodied selves. We live in a physical world. Mm-hmm. And we love talking about words like freedom and love and devotion, but what does that look like and what does that taste like? When two people come to get married, they love each other, they want to make a commitment to each other, they want to be devoted, I'm going to give you my whole life, but what does that look like and what does it taste like? I guess it looks like a long white dress and tuxedos, and it tastes like wedding cake, with that really sugary
way too much frosting.
Yeah, not enough frosting. The idea of a sacrament, though, is so a ritual is a physical action designed to represent something which is non-physical. It's a way of sort of giving substance to a thing that you can't really put your finger on. And it starts to take on reality. So we come to church to worship. But worship, worship? What is worship? How do you even describe what that is? Define it. But when we sing a song, we know we're worshiping. We have that experience of worship. So it becomes physical and tangible and real for us in the ritual. So some people go to a church that's really ritual, very high, dearly beloved, God be with you and also with you. Lift up your hearts. We've lifted them up to the Lord. It's liturgical church. Mm-hmm. And so for them, the worship is in the liturgy. Other people go to a church where it's like, they're singing songs and waving their hands. And those are completely different styles, but they both embody in a physical way this sort of non-corporeal reality that we call worship. Mm-hmm. Now, a sacrament takes that concept one step further. And the idea of the sacrament is that if we engage in a sacrament on the earth, that there is a divine action that comes with it. Mm-hmm. And that divine action comes not because we are doing some kind of magic and manipulating God into doing something, but because God has said, if you do this, this is what will happen. So the idea of the sacraments is Jesus says, this is my body. If you do this, this becomes my body. And if you do this, this becomes my blood. He says, do this in remembrance. And so when we engage in the sacraments, something is happening on a divine level. That's the idea of sacrament, and that's what separates it from ritual and what kind of sets it apart. So for us, the two, Holy Communion, baptism.
And next time, we'll look at baptism. We thank you for joining us for Christian Perspectives. We hope you always will. And remember, God loves you, and so do we.
I'm gonna run to the city of rest.